Trump is looking like he wants a political off ramp. He's talking out both sides of his mouth, so it's kind of ridiculous. And has the price of barrel surged back up, or no?
It
Because I'm
literally
pretty
just surged
convinced
back up now.
it's back,
As
right?
literally right now. Yeah, it's
Has anybody
yo-yoing.
seen the list of demands that Iran has put?
I did, but I don't know how legitimate it is because
What's the source of that?
From their actual Twitter account in Persian. I translated it, and it's got
Uh,
a lot of demands, and they aren't demands.
Oman, sorry, is that Omar speaking? Omar, which actual Twitter account? Because I think that's fake news. I
yeah,
may be mistaken. I might have
there's
missed
lots of
it.
Iranian propaganda accounts on Twitter. They always have the Iranian flag and put out misinformation.
All right, my mistake then.
Yeah, that's why I always like double check with that because like they say all kinds of crazy shit like, oh, we killed 220 U.S. soldiers. We hit the USS Lincoln or whatever. So it's just yeah.
See, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
No,
people.
I'm
So one of
sorry.
the big news with Myron is there was a briefing on Iran, and one of the senators came out, and let me find out who it was, and said, "Oh, this is what he said." U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal he went into the Iran briefing, and he said, "We seem to be on a path towards deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here." So it's American troops.
Yeah, they also brought
Eh,
some big bombers into the UK as well, and I've heard other reports of them getting what is it like the E-68 or some shit like that, which is apparently a nuclear asset. Um, so
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if they're putting nuclear type stuff to stage it at the
uh,
UK at this point.
yeah, we have
Trump
to be
Trump
careful
just
with that.
announced they're putting mine. Sorry, Andrew. They're they're,
Oh yeah.
they're putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh yes, absolutely. But back on that E6B, it's very important that people understand that those Navy E6s there, they serve two missions. We communicate 24/7 with our SSBNs. Those are the guys that make cities disappear. Okay. Now, we have literally, when I say 24/7, literally 24/7 communications on when they're supposed to launch. All right. Now, the fast attack submarines, we don't do that. We never would stream our antenna like that. That's against our mission. And I'm not at liberty to go in why in the depths and all that. But the second purpose of those E6s is for the TACAMO. For what? Nuclear. Now, listen to me. Please don't misunderstand me. It's not okay, launch, launch. No, no. It's how they integrate in the tactical battle scene of TACAMO. So it's really two things. But whenever you hear, and in fact, I've answered I think 10 requests now. People say, "Hey, they're sending flying E6s." They do it all the time, people. They do it all the time. One time, people were saying, "There's a Soviet submarine off the coast of the U.S." Yeah, okay. Any given day, there's 5 working in that area. Okay, fine. So please don't think that because there's E6s that they're getting ready to do some kind of launch. No, 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 no. They're just saying they're bringing in double coverage to let the nuclear SSBNs how they're going to integrate or where they're supposed to move, but not to tell them to launch. Now, could they? Would they? Yeah, ultimately, God forbid. But that's 24/7. Now, real quick, I want to say this. It's very, very important. On the girls' school. Now, no one realizes how much the IDF is involved in targeting and putting target packages together. Now, let me give you an example that really pissed me off greatly during the Gulf War was how the Israelis go, we got more data on that target. We got more data on that. And the United States is like, yeah, really? Yeah, you guys are great at intelligence gathering. Yeah, we'll use that target package. And I think there's a huge slip up. We're not really careful. I'm not defending U.S., but the IDF, I smell their hand. I'm not, but do your research. How much the IDF is involved in U.S. strike packages? They are. Do the research.
They always give bad intel too. It's kind of common that like the Israelis are notorious for giving bad intel to kind of push for military intervention. They did it with Saddam. They did it with October 7th in Iran and everything else like that. So it's not uncommon for them to manufacture chaos for their benefit.
By the way, Myron, did you see the Trump did a response on the naval mines?
No, I did not see his response to naval mines. What did he say? I know Carolyn Levitt just got
Yeah.
off.
So yeah, this is what he said. If Iran has put out any mines in the Hormuz Strait and we have no reports of them doing so, we want them removed, all caps, immediately. If for any reason mines were placed and they are not removed forthwith, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. If, on the other hand, they remove what may have been placed, it will be a giant step in the right direction. President Donald J. Trump.
This is
Yeah,
insane. It's
that's
naval
fucking nuts,
warfare
dude.
101.
That's nuts. I mean, it seems clearly that he hasn't realized that his brinksmanship, you know, you can't play this brinksmanship game with Iran, bro. You know what I mean? You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I don't foresee them coming to any type of ceasefire until there's a permanent ceasefire where they're getting sanctions lifted. Which to be honest with you, that they shouldn't surrender anyway, because at this point, if you do any type of ceasefire or surrender or whatever, they're always going to keep coming after you. So it's not even worth it. So they're in it for the long haul.
That won't be enough. That won't even be enough. Lifting of sanctions won't be enough. There's going to be they have to compensate them for the damage they've done at the minimum, as well as removing the bases from the region, so they don't pose an existential threat to the Republic anymore.
Agree 150%, brother.
Yeah, no, they're definitely going to have a bunch of stipulations. Yeah, I've heard all kinds of them, but I think someone said earlier that go back to the 67 borders. That I'm not sure about, because I don't think the Israelis are going to concede any land in the West Bank, especially since they've been really focusing on that since they pulled out of Gaza. So, we'll see, man. But this whole situation is very bad. What's a barrel looking like right now? 90? Is it back up to like 95 now?
It's like 86, I believe, last I checked.
Okay, 86. All right. Well, yeah, that press conference definitely brought it down. So, and then also lifting sanctions off Russia was another one too. So that didn't really get reported too much in the mainstream, but very scary times, man. Very scary times.
But that's gonna happen, Myron. Like he's gonna his it's eventually the market is not gonna go with what the longer this drags out and the more like bullshit he spews,
hmm
the less the market is gonna react to him.
No, agreed, agreed. Like it's basically like putting a band-aid on like, a mortal wound. It just like stops the bleeding for a little bit, like 24, 48 hours. But once they see that like, no Navy ships are there, nothing really changed. They're putting mines on the bed on the sea floor. Um, no company's gonna insure. And that's the real thing. It's not even really the threat of violence that's the biggest thing. But the real reason why they're not going through is because no company's gonna insure a freighter that's going through a war zone. You know what I mean? So that's the real thing holding everything up.
Myron, we had a merchant marine in here. I wish you could have heard him. I was vindicated. I kept saying no merchant marine, knowing there's even a quote threat out there, is going to put his butt out there on the line. And this merchant marine gave us details of that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just Macron, Trump, they could talk all day about we're going to give you a naval escort and all this other bullshit, but if it doesn't matter if the freighters don't issue the insurance, all of that is null and void. It's like putting the cart before the horse.
Well, after Macron's wife, or I think she's his wife, beats him up some more, maybe he won't send any more. Yeah, I'll just let him. I want to put him on one of those tankers and say, go for it.
Yeah, I think they did that tactically to bring prices down because they both announced the same day, and then Trump made sure to leak to the press that the war is almost done, and all this other stuff. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Another interesting thing I tweeted about: it's absolutely ridiculous that Witkoff and Kushner are the ones doing all the negotiations with Iran. Like these dudes are literally hardcore Zionists. Kushner's family is extremely close with Netanyahu, so it's like talk about conflict of interest, man.
Totally. But Americans don't see it. They're asleep. They're asleep at the switch, just being dog walked right into another meat grinder. That's why we are right here, the resistance, folks. We are the resistance. That's what keeps driving us. We won't stop. And we are making a difference. My dear, he's like my adopted son. He's a brilliant scientist in Switzerland. His family came from Iran. Okay. He's like, my God, thank you. I sent him Suleiman space, and he said, thank you. In Switzerland, we're hearing the Americans are just doing a great job. And his mother, who is a monarchist, we're going to go back. We're going to take it back. Yeah, let the stupid Americans go bleed and die and take back our country. Nope.
Yeah, that's the dumbest part about this because there's really no way out. We're in a corner right now. It's either boots on the ground, nuclear bomb, or pull out and lose influence in the region forever. Because once we pull out the region and leave, if we leave if we leave the Ayatollah there, right, and we leave, there's no way the Gulf states are going to let us come back and have the same military presence we had before because we've proven that when things get tough, we can't defend them. So there's no reason for them to house bases for us anymore at that point. So I foresee that they're going to limit our presence in the area, which is huge to the United States because one of the United States cornerstones when it comes to military might is the projection of power worldwide, and we would lose a very critical region.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree with that. Well said. Yeah, those are the three options for sure.
And to add insult to injury, we open up the Gulf states to potentially working with our adversaries, like a China or Russia. So it's like a double whammy if we pull out at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Trump has wasted it all. American lives, American treasure, blood and treasure for to strategically diminish American dominance in the region. It makes you wonder if Israel knew this, like how Israel's completely miscalculated because obviously he's done this for Israel. He hasn't done this for to make America better or more powerful. And it does make you think about Simon's theory because it's like, are they really stupid or is this planned? That's something I'm thinking about because I'm unsure um, why they would do such self-harm, like such geopolitical self-harm to the empire. And I do think it is a case of the people at the top. It's
It's
hubris. Yeah,
hubris.
it's hubris.
It's hubris. 100%
Yeah,
hubris.
yeah. Because they don't care. They don't care. At the top, they'll move on when America's used up and thrown away. Because Netanyahu said that himself. America will be used up and thrown away when it's done serving its purpose. So it seems like that's what's
Yeah.
going on.
Amen, brother. Adam, thank you, sir. I want to say there's two more things in it here. I'm praying I'm able to do this joint effort with when Ryan Dawson has the time. He wants to work with me on Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon, 1980, 283. I was in that civil war. It was hell. There was this. We don't talk about it. We don't think about it. Don't even think about it. There is questions asked about these all these bodies buried. The bodies were buried and just kind of it. Don't talk about it. But I believe with all my heart the IDF was a part of that. Okay, for us to go into this not knowing, not with the insanity of thinking the IDF is not embedded in our Department of Defense. They are. I talked to a retired Marine colonel. He was a Vietnam vet, Green Beret. We know for a fact that that Mossad is embedded in our DoD. Rumsfeld even talked about it. Oh, let's not say that. Yes, let's say it. And they are involved in our target packages. But it is ultimately the United States of America. We have blood on our hands. We can't say, well, we were using Israeli data for that strike, or even if it was ours, which I'm beginning to believe it was strictly based on the IDF. We still have to check it. That's like going by someone saying, yeah, it's okay to hit that house. Myron, you were FBI and all that. Would you guys do a raid unless you've checked and rechecked it without putting people's lives at risk? We check that stuff and say, oh, there's hundreds of packages. It still has to be researched.
Of course, you're gonna before you do serve a warrant, right? You're gonna identify the closest hospital. You're gonna try to get a floor plan if you can. You're gonna hit in the morning when everyone's asleep. You're gonna put as many different advantages, in your corner. So yeah, dude, definitely got to be tactical about stuff like this.
And the truth is going to come out. The truth is always going to come out. Yeah. And I'm really smelling this is horrific. It breaks my heart that I think more and more we're going to see that the United States has so much blood on their hands. And I can't tell you the terrible thing we did to the USS Liberty. And it's connected. Oh, that does nothing to it. Has everything to do with this. It has everything to do with this. We covered that up. And these were our own people.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And then obviously on day one of the war, you know, we drop a bomb and kill 170, you know, little girls. Like it's fucking nuts, you know?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
say something about just about the school? Because before you came, Myron, we were talking about it. I want to say two things which will help the discussion, especially Mancos. First of all, there is difference between North America and third world country. Second of all, I was in Jordan recently in a visit to a university. And in that university, they told me that this was a military base which was repurposed. And in that military base, that now there is a university and there is almost a whole city there. So does it mean that the university and the civilians can be attacked in that area?
Well, but the military base is gone now, right?
Yeah, but this is the same thing as what happened in
It's
Iran,
not the
no?
same because like 90% of that military base was still there and was still a target.
My understanding that this is the school was on a military base in Iran 10 years ago. The military base was 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. So they just converted one little part of the military base. The rest of the military base is still there.
And this is the same situation in Jordan. There was, I think it's in the desert, there is a huge area which is still military for the, the Jordanian defense system, but that area, the whole thing is now civilian. So it is just taken and repurposed. Repurposing in third world countries, as I think Andrew was trying to say, it's and Omar, because of economical reasons, they do that.
Well, sure, but when you completely change something, it's going to look completely different. What I was saying is when you look at the satellite photos, the change to the IRGC military base is like almost imperceptible. It looks pretty much the same. Basically what they did is they just took one of their existing buildings and is like, that's a school now. And maybe some of the walls changed a little bit. And that's it. So it would be very hard to notice the change. That's very different than if you completely converted the entire base into some civilian things and like demolished the buildings and put new buildings there and put all sorts of different stuff in it.
Yeah, I mean, you are. I'm okay with what you are saying, but 10 years. Do you think within the 10 years, with all the focus on Iran, they did not update their data that this is actually a school? I mean,
I could
I
very
really like
easily see that
the,
happening, yeah, because the thing is that it's not like this is one of the biggest targets in the war or something. There's lots of these bases scattered all over the place. So I'm sure this wasn't like a super high priority target. It was just one of the bases out of probably dozens of bases that they hit. So they just look at the photo, they're like, okay, this looks like where the military base is, and it would be very easy to miss that like the corner of the military base has some slight changes to the walls or something.
yeah, but the culture, as I said, I am a civilian and I encountered this as an academic. I went there, they told me here there was a military base. And do you think really consider in the Middle East they do that? It seems that it's a common practice. That's my point.
I don't think we really have like human
It's,
intelligence from the CIA on the ground in Iran. I know Mossad to some degree does, but the United States is not very good at human intelligence anyway, so we mostly rely on
so
satellites.
I think this is a doctrine. The doctrine of both the Israelis and the Americans is to slaughter children. So they did it in Gaza for
Well, I
experimental
think it's
purposes to
ridiculous to
see
say
the kind
that
of
about the
backlash.
United States when
No, no,
there's
no.
one school and out of so many hundreds of targets or actually over 1,000 targets now, if we actually wanted to blow up schools, if it's on purpose, then certainly there would have been hundreds of schools at least destroyed by this point.
No, no, no. Look, no. So the point is on the first day they did it as a kind of point to make. Look, you're not paying attention to the messaging. The Jews, what they want to tell everybody is this. It's very simple. We are happy to kill your children anywhere we find them, as long as you oppose us, and we'll continue to do so unless you worship us, we will kill your children in America, we will kill your children in Europe, kill your children in the Middle East. We don't care if you're brown, black, white, whatever you are, we will kill your children for fun. And in fact, we'll enjoy it. And we'll do it so gleefully, and we'll celebrate it as well. And they did that in Gaza, and now they're genociding now in Tehran. They genocided it in Lebanon. It's their doctrine. It's not
It's
something that's
very
like
clearly
they even
not the
hide.
doctrine of the United States. And I think this was very clearly an accident. And anyone who's acting in good faith could tell that it was an accident and there was negligence on both sides. And to seize on it for propaganda, I think is kind of disgusting behavior.
But what
It's
about
not.
the
So
Wait
other
one
two
second. One
schools?
second,
so
guys. It's not. It's not negligent. It's not negligent on Iranian side. They didn't ask to get bombed.
Yeah,
Mankos,
it is
that's ridiculous.
absolutely negligent to
No,
put
it's
a
not. It's
girls'
not.
school on a
No, I'll
military
tell you
base
what's
and put
negligent. Hold
those
on,
girls in
Mankos.
harm's way. That is
Yeah,
negligent.
sure. No problem, no problem. I'll tell you what's negligent. Negligence is when you try to make a deal three separate times, this being the fourth, right? When you try to make deals with America and they backstab you all three times and bomb
And
you
that's just not
anyways,
true.
who's being
Those aren't the
negligent?
facts.
Nobody is asking to be bombed. That's the
Iran never
problem. And
agreed to any
no,
of
no,
the
no.
United
Iran never
States'
agreed to these
asks.
bullshit. No, they never agreed to the demands because they were putting their sovereignty on the line. They're not going to just give in to the demands of the West. They came to the
Yeah, we
table
agree. So
in good
since we
faith.
didn't have a
Hold on,
deal,
Manko. But
then there
let me
was no
so
finish. Let me
previously,
reason
look,
finish.
of there was.
Okay, you
look,
get mad at everybody
uh,
interrupting you, but you don't even let me finish. They came to the table with good faith, right? To try to make a compromise so that the region doesn't get into blown up into this whole mess that it's in right now. And all three separate times, America allowed Israel to go in and strike them unprovoked. All three times. So when you talk about negligence, maybe the West needs to take a look at themselves in the mirror and come up with like, hey, you know what? We just bombed this school full of innocent kids. You can't even get a sorry out of Trump. You can't even have him say like, hey, listen, even if he doesn't want to believe that it's his military that did it, he doesn't even come out and say, "Hey, we feel really bad about these kids. It should have never happened." Whatever, something. All he said is, "Well, we haven't investigated it yet."
actually, look, it was deliberate, and it was deliberate. But look, previously, look, I'm telling you from the Iraq War, the Americans came in. They definitely raped. They definitely did disgusting things in Iraq. They killed people for fun. They did all those things, no doubt. But they didn't do it on a mass scale. I think this is the part of the Israeli and the Jewish colony doctrine is to murder and rape children for fun. So they did that through the Gaza Holocaust for 2.5 years, and now they've enshrined it into the American doctrine to do that. Now they did it as a piece of messaging to all of us actually. So I think, as Myron's still here, I think it's something he should take note of, because we saw with Charlie Kirk as well what happened to him. Look, the messaging is very, very simple now. And I'm surprised anybody doesn't get it. And I'm surprised someone like you sounds quite intelligent, like you, Manko. You sound quite intelligent. And to be honest with you, I like the fact that you challenge things sometimes, because we don't want to be in an echo chamber. But the doctrine of the Jewish colony and of America now, which is now become a vassal of the Jewish colony, is to enjoy and celebrate the slaughter of babies, children, little girls, and to rape them, and to do it with a smile on your face, and to rape the women in the region for fun as well. So that is the new doctrine now for America. Before, you could argue that they wanted to win hearts and minds. They wanted to kind of like portray themselves as being a good colonizer. But that's all gone now. The new doctrine is following the entities one, and you should know better, to be honest with you, Manko. I would hope you're more intelligent than that.
Let me add to that, sir. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar.
Andrew, I want to make Andrew. I just want to make one point to Manko before we move past. I was just eating and I heard him say it was an accident. Manko, an accident spilling a cup of coffee on someone's carpet, and even then you feel terrible that you've ruined their carpet, and you offer to pay for it and you apologize. An accident is not bombing the life out of 160 children. Okay. And if I spill coffee on someone's carpet, I feel bad and I apologize. I've not seen 1 ounce of remorse from anybody in the American government. So Brother Hassan's right. This is, and I keep saying this, it's modus operandi. Look, if you're going to be humanity first, even if you are America first, then you have to start calling out the crimes of your government, because you cannot be that blinded to it. You're not going to help America if you don't see that they have a history in this and a massive track record, and the whole world can see it. And I call out my country because I don't want these war crimes, and I don't want that blood on our hands. And I'm very patriotic about England. If I was not patriotic, I'd be like, yeah, we didn't do it. No, we didn't kill 1 million people in Iraq. Iraq had WMDs. That achieves nothing because it doesn't help our nations change their ways. Brother Hassan, you were going to jump in, and then we go to Andrew.
No, I was going to say there's been multiple school strikes as well. And like I said, remember, this is just a continuation of Gaza. Anybody who tries to disconnect the genocide, like the genociding of Iranians from the genociding of Gaza is not seeing the pattern here. It's a very clear pattern. And people should get the message everywhere they are. It's like I received this message probably about 2 weeks into the genocide, although probably I felt I was a bit late. But now 2.5 years into a Holocaust in Gaza, and then the genociding of people in Lebanon, the message is very loud and clear, and it's very obvious that we will what we'll do is, if you don't obey our demands, you don't worship us, we will come, we will slaughter your little baby girls, and then if we don't slaughter them, we'll rape them, and we'll do it with the most big smile on our face. That's the message.
Amen, brother. If any
Yeah,
other,
listen, I agree with you when it comes to the Israelis and things that they've said and done. I would say that the fact that Israel started bombing the fuel depots by Tehran, and that the United States came out and criticized that and told them that they shouldn't be doing that, I think that tends to show that the United States has a different attitude about the war and what targets should be hit as far as civilians goes.
So you mentioned the fuel depots. There's a very good reason why the fuel depots is mentioned. So they're very happy for the Jewish colony to blow up kids'